Welcome to English Stories Academy. Most people will never know what it feels like to look at the world and actually see what others miss, to walk into a room and think 10 steps ahead, to be called crazy one year and a genius the next. But I believe, with the right mindset, the right tools, and the right habits, you can think like a genius. Not the born with a gift kind. Not the IQ of 180 kind. I'm talking about the kind of genius that is built through obsession, curiosity, silence, strategy, and deep thought. You don't need anyone's permission to become brilliant. You don't need a rich family, an Ivy League education, or to be born in the right country. All you need is the courage to see the world differently. So if you've ever felt like you were meant for something more, if you've ever been told you're too intense, too curious, too different, good. That's exactly what makes you dangerous. And in this video, we're going to unlock the same mental habits and thinking models that geniuses like Elon Musk, Da Vinci, Jobs, and Einstein used to change the world. I promise you. This won't be just another motivational video. This will rewire how you think. Welcome to the mindset of mastery. Welcome to the art of genius. Before we dive into the habits, you need to understand the engine behind all genius thinking. That engine is called mental models. What is a mental model? A mental model is simply how you understand how the world works. Think of it like a lens through which you see everything. Decisions, problems, people, opportunities, risk, time, value. Everyone uses mental models, but geniuses, they use better ones. For example, when Elon Musk wanted to build rockets, he didn't think like a businessman. He thought like a physicist. Most people said, building rockets is too expensive. NASA does that. Not you. A single rocket costs $58,000 per kilogram to launch something into space. But Musk used a different mental model. First principles thinking. What is first principles thinking? Instead of copying what others believe, you break the idea down to its core truths, then build up from there. Here's what Musk did. He asked, "What is a rocket made of?" The answer? Aerospace-grade aluminum, titanium, copper, carbon fiber. Then he calculated the cost of raw materials. Do you know what it came to? Just $2,700 per kilogram, not $58,000. Suddenly, he saw the truth. They weren't expensive because they had to be. They were expensive because of how the industry was thinking. Everyone else was copying. He was questioning. That's the difference. That's the power of a mental model. Mental models help you see truth, not just opinions. Solve problems smarter, not harder. Question things that others blindly accept. Think like a scientist, a philosopher, a creator, not a follower. Geniuses have dozens of mental models. But even just mastering a few can change how you think forever. And now, let's start with the first mental habit that will make you think like a genius. Habit 1. Obsessed over deep understanding. Not just knowing. Let me begin with a question that will change how you see intelligence forever. Do you really understand the things you know? Or are you just repeating what you heard? Because most people today, they don't think, they don't question, they just copy what they've been told. They memorize facts, they repeat answers, they sound smart, but they never become wise. Here's the brutal truth. Knowing is not genius. Understanding is. When you know something, you can repeat it. But when you understand something, you can explain it, rebuild it, use it, apply it to real life. That's the difference between average minds and genius minds. Let me introduce you to one of the greatest minds in human history. A man named Richard Feynman. He wasn't just a physicist. He was a genius communicator, a Nobel Prize winner, and one of the only scientists in the world who could take the most complicated ideas in the universe and explain them so simply that even a 5-year-old could understand them. Feynman once said, "If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough." Let me repeat that again. Slowly. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. This one idea is the foundation of all genius thinking. He developed something called the Feynman technique, a way to test if you truly understand something. Let's say Feynman was studying quantum mechanics. That's an extremely hard topic. But here's what he did. Step 1. Learn the idea. He would read it, research it, gather knowledge. Step 2. Teach it to a child. Yes, a child. Or imagine one. He would try to explain it using the simplest possible words, without using technical terms. Step 3. If he struggled to explain it, he'd go back and study again. He believed that confusion is a signal. I don't understand it yet. Step 4. Repeat until it became clear. That's why Feynman could walk into a classroom full of students and explain the structure of atoms, or the secrets of the universe, or the laws of light, using just a chalkboard, a few drawings, and the language of a parent teaching their child. No ego, no showing off, just real understanding. That's what made him a genius. Let's make this personal now. Ask yourself honestly, do I just memorize things? Or do I understand them? Do I learn just to pass time? Or do I learn to transform my life? Because the truth is, most people don't understand success. They copy it from Instagram. Most people don't understand relationships. They repeat what they saw in movies. Most people don't understand money. They follow what their parents told them. That's not genius. That's mental autopilot. How you can build this habit. Starting today, pick one idea. You know. It could be anything. What is success? What is discipline? What is love? What is English fluency? Now, write it down and try to explain it as if you're talking to a 5-year-old child. Can you do it? If not, good. That means you've just discovered where you need to grow. 2. Break it down to the core. Ask, what is the simplest definition of this idea? Can I use a story to explain it? Can I use a real example? Can I remove all complex words? This is where your brain starts to burn, but this is also where your genius starts growing. 3. Rebuild it in your own words. Once you've broken the idea down, rebuild it. But this time, use your own voice, your own examples, your own experience. When you do this, you'll feel something change in your brain. You're not just learning. You're owning the idea, and that is genius. A person who knows 1,000 things but understands nothing is just a loud parrot. But a person who understands one thing deeply can use it to change the world. Genius is not in the memory. Genius is in the clarity. Don't just know. Understand, feel, break down, rebuild, explain, live it. That's how you begin to think like a genius, even if you're not one yet. Habit 2. Geniuses work from first principles, not from assumptions. Let me begin with this truth. Most people never build anything new because they're trapped in old thinking. They don't question. They don't analyze. They don't dig deep. They simply assume that the way things are is the way things must always be. But geniuses? They break things down to their raw parts. They don't ask, what's possible? They ask, what is true? And from truth, they rebuild everything. This is called first principles thinking. Imagine you want to make the strongest pot in the world, a pot that can survive anything. Now you have two choices. 1. Assumption-based thinking. You look at pots in the market and copy what others did. You assume, oh, they used this material, this size, this design. It must be right. So, you repeat what they did. But your pot still breaks in extreme heat or cold. Why? Because you're building based on assumptions, not truth. 2. First principles thinking. Instead, you break the problem down to the core. What exactly makes a pot strong? What material can survive 1000 degrees Celsius heat? What shape can distribute pressure perfectly? What if you didn't need clay at all? Now you discover a mix of graphene and ceramic makes a pot 100 times stronger than clay. You also realize a rounded bottom distributes heat better. You didn't follow what others did. You rebuilt the solution from zero, based on truth, not tradition. That's how geniuses think. Don't copy the pot. Understand the heat, the pressure, the material, and build your own. This is first principles thinking. No guessing, no copying, just truth. Here's the definition in very easy words. A first principle is the most basic truth about something. It's the foundation you can't break down any further. Most people think in layers. I want to build an app. Let me see what other people did. I want to become rich. Let me do what that guy did. But geniuses? They strip away everything that's copied, borrowed, assumed, or untested. They go deep. They ask, what's the problem? What are the facts? What are the raw materials? What's absolutely true, no matter what anyone says? Then they build their own answers. This is how everyone does it. Why do we do it this way? This is expensive. What makes it expensive? It's impossible. What's stopping it? I'm not smart enough. What's the actual skill I'm missing? When you start thinking from first principles, you stop being a follower. You stop depending on how it's always been. You find truth in a world full of opinions. You discover new solutions that others can't even see. This is how real innovation happens. This is how leaders rise. This is how you become the one who changes the game. Let's say you're trying to learn English faster. A normal person might say, let me follow another YouTuber's 30-day plan. A genius asks, what is language made of? What do I really need? What's the fastest way to build that skill? They break it down. Language. Vocabulary plus sentence structure plus listening plus speaking. So they build a simple, powerful system. Speak out loud daily. Learn 10 words per day, not 50. Listen actively to real speech. Practice explaining your day using those new words. That's genius. Not because it's complicated, but because it's true, simple, and personalized. That's how you become fluent faster than 99% of people. Not by copying, but by thinking from first principles. Genius begins not with answers, but with the courage to ask real questions. Stop assuming. Stop copying. Stop doing things just because that's how others do it. Instead, tear the idea down. Remove the noise. Find the truth. What is it really made of? What is actually true? What can I rebuild from scratch, with my own mind? That's what Elon Musk did. That's what geniuses do. And now, that's what you can start doing. Welcome to First Principles Thinking. Welcome to the real way geniuses think. Habit 3. Geniuses think in silence, while the world drowns in noise. Let me start with this. The world today is the loudest it's ever been. You wake up, notifications. You walk, noise in your ears. You eat, scrolling through reels. You think, a voice from YouTube tells you what to believe. And all of this noise feels normal now. But here's the problem. You cannot think clearly if you never hear your own mind. And you can never hear your own mind if you're always listening to someone else's. That's why most people are confused. That's why they can't solve problems. That's why they copy instead of create. But geniuses, they do the opposite. They disappear into silence. They create a space where thinking becomes deep, ideas become alive, and problems begin to unfold in ways others can't even imagine. You've heard of Einstein. He gave us the theory of relativity. He reshaped physics. He changed how we understand time, space, and light. But do you know what his secret was? It wasn't a big laboratory. It wasn't expensive books. It wasn't a supercomputer. It was long, quiet walks in complete silence. Einstein was known to take hours-long walks by himself, not with music, not with podcasts, not with distractions. Just him, his thoughts, and his imagination. He would walk through the woods near his house in Princeton, New Jersey, completely alone. No phone, no notebook, just deep, focused thinking. Inside silence. And during those walks, he came up with ideas that changed the world. Not by working harder, but by thinking deeper. Most people think genius equals more work. But Einstein's life proves genius comes when you disconnect from the world. And finally, connect with your own mind. He believed something that no one understood at the time. The most important work of your life doesn't happen in front of people. It happens alone. In the quiet corners of your mind. In the spaces between distractions. In the silence that allows your brain to breathe. That's where real thought is born. We're not talking about meditation or some spiritual trick. We're talking about something much simpler and far more powerful. Silent, focused, personal thinking time. When you learn to think in silence, you'll solve problems that have been stuck in your head for weeks. Get clarity about decisions. Hear your true self. Not the voice of fear or pressure. Make original plans instead of copying others. Think through emotions instead of reacting. It will feel like your mind finally turns from chaos to clarity. Let's make it simple. Even for beginners. Step 1. Create your thinking time 20 to 30 minutes a day. No phone, no music, no scrolling. Just sit, walk, or lie down. And let your brain talk to you. This may feel boring at first, because your mind isn't used to silence. But within 3 days, you'll notice ideas start showing up. Thoughts become organized. You'll feel more clear, more calm, and more powerful. Step 2. Ask yourself a genius question. Here are a few. What am I avoiding? What problem am I pretending doesn't exist? What would I do if I had no fear? What is one truth I'm ready to face? Let that question sink in. Let it move around in your brain. And you'll be amazed at what answers come out if you stay silent long enough. Step 3. Let boredom lead you to breakthrough. Here's something nobody tells you. Boredom is the door to genius. When your brain is bored, truly bored, it starts creating. That's why Einstein, Steve Jobs, and so many creators did their best thinking in showers, long walks, empty rooms, quiet mornings. Because boredom is not bad. It's the beginning of original thought. You'll become less reactive and more strategic. You'll make decisions with clarity, not pressure. You'll come up with creative ideas others will never see. You'll feel mentally powerful, not distracted or lost. You'll solve emotional pain with logic, not panic. You'll develop your own mind voice, instead of copying what others say. In a world that rewards the loudest voices, genius belongs to those who learn to hear the quietest one, their own. Turn off the noise. Mute the world. Sit with your mind. Because when you finally think in silence, you'll discover the parts of you that are brilliant, creative, strategic, and unstoppable. The next big idea in your life is not hiding in another YouTube video. It's not in a podcast. It's not in a book. It's already inside your brain, waiting for you to turn off the noise and finally listen. Habit 4. Geniuses learn by teaching, not just reading. Let's begin with a sentence that can rewire your entire learning process. The best way to master something is to teach it. Sounds simple, right? But it's one of the most rare, powerful, and underused genius habits in the world. Most people try to learn by watching 100 videos, reading 10 books, taking 5 courses, filling notebooks with notes they'll never look at again. And still, they forget everything in 2 weeks. Why? Because they only consume. They never transform what they learn. But geniuses, they do something very different. They take knowledge and translate it into their own words. They explain it. They simplify it. They teach it to someone else. And that's how they remember it forever. Example. Yes, this is a second mention of Richard Feynman, but not a repeat of Habit 1. In Habit 1, we focused on understanding deeply. But here in Habit 4, we focus on how he turned that understanding into mastery by teaching others. Let me take you inside the genius of Feynman, one of the greatest physics teachers in human history. What made Feynman so special? He wasn't just a Nobel Prize winner. He wasn't just a brilliant scientist. He was a master explainer. He could take the most confusing topic in science, things like quantum mechanics, subatomic particles, time dilation, relativity, and explain it so clearly that a young teenager could understand it. But here's what no one realizes. Feynman didn't teach because he was smart. He became smart because he taught. Every time he learned something, he had a rule. I don't understand this until I can explain it in my own words, to someone else. He would go home, forget all the fancy words from the textbook, and try to explain the idea to his friend or his little sister or even to himself in the mirror. No memorization, no copying, just raw translation, from idea to clarity to speech. That's how his brain locked in every new idea forever. Let's say he wanted to learn entropy, a very hard topic. He would read the concept from a book or lecture, close the book, grab a blank notebook and pretend to teach the idea to a child. If he got confused or used complicated words, he'd say, "Wait, I don't get this yet." Then he'd go back, relearn it, and try again. Only when he could explain it in clear, simple language, he would say, "Now I understand it." That habit made him one of the most respected minds in the world. Not because he knew more, but because he could teach better. When you teach something, even to yourself, you realize what you truly understand and what you don't. Your brain connects the ideas in a deeper way. You feel more confident using the idea in real life. You stop memorizing and start mastering. Geniuses don't just collect knowledge, they process it, internalize it, and redeliver it in their own language. That is the final stage of learning. That is how they become creators, not just consumers. Why most people don't do this? You know why? Because it's uncomfortable. It's easy to say, "Yeah, I understand that." But when you try to explain it aloud, suddenly your brain says, "Wait, I'm confused. This part doesn't make sense." That's a gift, not a weakness. It shows you exactly where your mind needs to grow. Most people avoid that moment. But geniuses, they run toward it. Let's make this practical and simple. Step 1. After learning something, try to explain it in your own words. Do it aloud, even if no one's listening. You can talk to your mirror. You can talk to your phone camera. You can pretend you're teaching a child. This makes your brain do the hard work. Do I truly get this? Step 2. Write it out in one simple paragraph. Open a notebook and try to explain today's idea in just 4 to 5 sentences. Use the simplest words possible. If you struggle, that's where you go back and study deeper. Step 3. Teach a friend. You don't need a classroom. You just need one person. Tell a sibling. Call a friend. Say, "Can I explain this to you real quick?" Even if they don't understand, you will. Because teaching is not about showing off. It's about cementing your own clarity. Apply this habit to anything. Want to learn English? Teach every word you learn out loud. Learning productivity? Teach your new technique to a friend. Studying business? Explain each lesson in a voice note to yourself. This turns your brain into a machine of clarity. And that is rare. The smartest people in the world don't prove their intelligence by staying silent. They prove it by making others smarter too. And the more you teach, the more you understand. The more you speak, the more you remember. The more you explain, the more powerful your brain becomes. Don't just be a learner. Be a teacher of your thoughts, even if your only student is you. Because the moment you start teaching what you learn is the moment you start thinking like a genius. Habit 5. Geniuses focus deeply on one thing, while others chase everything. Let me tell you the biggest secret that no one wants to hear. Your brain is not weak. Your focus is just divided. In today's world, most people are drowning in distractions. They try to learn 5 things at once. They chase 7 goals at the same time. They jump from app to app, video to video, book to book, hoping that more means better. But they end up overwhelmed, confused, stuck, and eventually they quit. And you know what's even worse? They blame themselves. They think, maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I can't do this. But the truth is, they're not lacking intelligence. They're lacking depth. Because geniuses don't chase 100 things. They go all in on one thing and master it with obsessive, uninterrupted, ruthless focus. Let me take you into the mind of one of the greatest martial artists the world has ever known, Bruce Lee. Now, Bruce Lee wasn't just a fighter. He was a philosopher of focus, discipline, and mastery. One of his most famous quotes is this: "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Read that again, slowly. Not the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. Because that man is dangerous. That man has depth. That man has trained his body and mind to focus on one thing with so much intensity that it becomes unbeatable. And that is the mindset of genius. Why Bruce Lee's focus was so powerful. Bruce didn't try to be great at everything. He didn't try to master 50 martial arts at once. Instead, he studied one style deeply, broke it apart, rebuilt it, created his own version, and practiced it over and over and over again. He would throw the same kick for hours, tweaking his movement by millimeters, watching in a mirror, recording himself and repeating until his body and mind were in complete alignment. While the world admired variety, he pursued perfection in simplicity. He knew that true power doesn't come from doing more things. It comes from doing one thing so well that nobody else can touch you. That's how geniuses move. Right now, you might feel like you're behind. Maybe you've tried to learn English, start a YouTube channel, build a business, improve your confidence, become more productive, get healthy, fix your relationships. But everything feels stuck. Why? Because your energy is being split into tiny pieces. You're putting 5% here, 3% there, 10% somewhere else. But nothing gets your full attention. And if nothing gets your full attention, nothing can fully grow. But when you choose one mission, just one, and give it your full focused effort, you become unstoppable. Genius isn't about being good at many things. It's about being undeniably powerful at one thing. Let's make this real and easy to follow. Step 1. Pick one focus for the next 30 days. Ask yourself, what's the one skill that would change my life the most right now? What's one thing I've been avoiding, but I know I must face? If I could only improve one thing this month, what should it be? Now circle it. Commit to it. Make it your main mission for the next 30 days. Step 2. Cut off the noise. Focus isn't about adding more. It's about removing the distractions. Delete apps you don't need. Mute group chats that kill your time. Stop following 20 mentors. Pick one. Make space. Clear mental clutter, because clarity needs silence. Step 3. Go deep, not wide. Instead of learning everything, learn the fundamentals again and again until they are part of your DNA. If it's English, master the top 500 words, use them in real life. Speak aloud daily. If it's YouTube, study what makes great thumbnails, titles, retention. Master that. If it's business, pick one model and go deep, not 10 business ideas. Repetition isn't boring. Repetition is the path to genius. Depth beats speed. Simplicity beats complexity. Focus beats force. The world is full of people who start fast and burn out. But geniuses are slow, intentional, and impossible to stop. They are remembered not because they did everything, but because they did one thing better than anyone. The moment you decide to focus, distractions will feel louder. Maybe I should learn this too. Maybe I'll get bored. What if this doesn't work? That's not truth. That's fear. But you must fight it. Because if you give up depth for speed, you'll spend your whole life starting things and never finishing anything. The world celebrates busy people, but history remembers focused people. People who gave themselves fully to one mission, one skill, one message, one purpose. Like Bruce Lee, like Steve Jobs, like Mozart, like Marie Curie, like anyone who left a mark. They weren't chasing everything. They were perfecting their one thing. So stop chasing 10 kicks, choose one kick, and throw it 10,000 times. That's how you become feared, respected, remembered. Genius. Habit 6. Geniuses are ruthlessly curious. They don't settle for surface answers. Let me start with a truth that most people have forgotten. Curiosity is not childish. Curiosity is the seed of genius. When you were a child, you asked, "Why is the sky blue? What's inside the moon? Why do people cry when they're happy?" But as you grew older, the world taught you something deadly. Stop asking so many questions. Just follow the rules. Just accept the answer. And slowly, you stopped wondering, you stopped questioning, you stopped exploring, you started surviving. But geniuses, they never let that happen. They remain eternally curious, like children who never grew tired of asking why. And that's how they unlock truths the world is too lazy to find. Let me take you into the mind of someone who wasn't just a painter. He was one of the most curious humans to ever walk this earth. Leonardo da Vinci. You probably know him as the artist who painted the Mona Lisa. But did you know? He was also a scientist, an engineer, a biologist, a military strategist, a mathematician, a botanist, an architect, and even a musician? How? Because of one habit: ruthless, unstoppable curiosity. In one of Leonardo's notebooks, historians found a strange question he had written to himself. Describe the tongue of a woodpecker. That's it. That was his task for the day. Now think about this. This is a man who was designing flying machines, dissecting human bodies, and painting history's most famous art. And he stopped to ask, what does the tongue of a woodpecker look like? And how does it work? He could have ignored it. He could have said, that's useless information. But he didn't. He followed that curiosity. He found out that a woodpecker's tongue is so long, it actually wraps around its brain, like a helmet, to protect it from the force of its own pecking. And that insight, small as it seems, helped him later as he designed shock-absorbing systems in mechanical devices. One silly question opened the door to an invention. That's how genius is born. What this teaches us: Leonardo didn't wait for a teacher. He didn't wait for Google. He didn't wait for a reason. He saw something strange, and he followed his question all the way to the truth. That's what geniuses do. Genius curiosity has 3 parts. 1. Observe what others ignore. Geniuses pay attention to things others walk past. A falling apple, the way birds fly, why people hesitate, why your heart beats faster when you lie. Every ordinary thing becomes a window into deeper truth. 2. Ask better questions. Most people ask, how do I make more money? How do I become successful? Geniuses ask, what is money really made of? Why do people value certain things more? What systems create success consistently? They don't stop at the surface. They dig and dig and dig until the truth is so clear, the answer becomes powerful. 3. Follow the question without fear. Most people stop when things get confusing, but geniuses are not afraid to follow their curiosity into unknown places, even if it takes them days, months, or years. They chase understanding because the journey itself makes them smarter. They don't learn because they have to. They learn because they can't stop wondering. When you become deeply curious, you learn 10 times faster. You remember longer. You stop copying and start discovering. You become interesting, magnetic, unpredictable. You develop original thought, the rarest thing in the world today. Suddenly, your life becomes full of questions. And every question leads to growth, discovery, power, and creation. Let's keep it real and simple. Step 1. Start a curiosity journal. Every time something confuses you, fascinates you, or surprises you, write it down. Example: Why do people yawn when others yawn? How does the brain store language? Why do I feel tired when I do nothing? Then take 5 minutes every day to research one question. You don't need a full answer. You just need to feed your curiosity a little. Every single day. Step 2. Replace I know with I wonder. Most people close their mind by saying, "Yeah, I already know that." Geniuses open their mind by saying, "Interesting. I wonder what else is behind that." This single shift will unlock more ideas than you can imagine. Step 3. Go deep on one silly topic. Just like Leonardo and the woodpecker's tongue. Pick one strange topic, something small and specific, and research it obsessively for a week. Watch how your brain stretches, how your thoughts expand, how your understanding of the world starts to shift. That's not boring. That's evolution. Learning English? Don't just memorize. Ask, why does this phrase exist? Where did it come from? Building a business? Ask, what's a need people don't know they have yet? Working on your body? Ask, how does sleep affect fat burning? Not just, how do I lose fat? Genius lives in the question behind the question. The greatest minds in history were not the ones with all the answers. They were the ones with the deepest questions. So bring your curiosity back to life. Be the person who stops to ask, dares to wonder, refuses to settle for the surface, and follows the question all the way down to the root. That's how Leonardo painted the Mona Lisa and also designed flying machines 500 years before airplanes were real. Because he never stopped asking, what if? Why not? How does this work? Genius is not something you're born with. Genius is what happens when you become deeply, fearlessly, beautifully curious. Ask, explore, follow, discover. And I promise, your life will never be the same again. Habit 7. Geniuses build systems, while everyone else lives on luck and emotion. Let me start by telling you something harsh, but honest. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. Most people fail because they live in randomness. They wake up and say, I hope today is a good day. I'll try to be productive. Let's see how it goes. Maybe I'll feel motivated later. But here's the truth. Hope is not a strategy. Motivation is not a system. And genius does not rely on chance. Geniuses don't leave their future to luck. They build systems that guide their energy, attention, and behavior. And once those systems are built, they don't need to try harder. Because the system works even when motivation disappears. When you think of genius, you probably don't think about honeybees. But what if I told you that honeybees run one of the most advanced, efficient, self-sustaining systems in the entire natural world? And they do it without noise, without ego, without changing goals every week. Let's take a closer look. There are no meetings in a beehive, no motivational speeches, no, what should we do today? And yet, every single day, thousands of bees wake up at the right time. Some go collect nectar, others guard the hive. Some clean, some feed the young, some make wax, some build structure, some cool the hive when it gets too hot. And here's the magic. They do this every day, without burnout, without confusion, without chaos. Why? Because the system runs everything. Each bee knows its role. Each action connects to the next. And together, they create a perfectly functioning hive with exact temperature regulation, massive honey production, and near zero wasted energy. Even if one bee gets tired or dies, the system keeps going. Even when weather changes, the hive adjusts automatically. Even if the queen disappears, the system prepares a new one. Why this is genius? The honeybee hive has no CEO, no fancy technology, no breaks, no rest days, no bonuses, no followers, and yet, it works better than most human organizations. Why? Because bees don't rely on how they feel that day. They follow the system. Discipline over emotion. Process over panic. Structure over struggle. That is the habit of genius. You don't need to be smarter. You don't need to be perfect. You need a system that supports your goals. When you're tired, unmotivated, distracted, or scared, geniuses don't say, "Let's try harder today." They say, "Let's fix the system so trying becomes automatic." Because without a system, you'll always feel behind. Let's make this 100% clear and beginner-friendly. A system means a repeatable plan that works, even on your worst days. If your goal is, a weak mind says, a genius builds a system like, learn English. I'll watch a video if I feel like it. Every day at 6 p.m. I record 2 English sentences and speak them aloud. Get healthy. I'll eat healthy when I'm in the mood. Meal prepped on Sunday. Gym at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. Walk after lunch. Become a creator. Let's see what I feel inspired to post. 3 posts per week. 1 idea on Monday, draft on Tuesday, post on Thursday. See the difference? Weak minds wait for emotion. Genius minds build systems that don't ask for permission. How you can build this genius habit today? Let's build it step by step. Step 1. Choose one important goal. What matters to you right now? English speaking. Starting your business, finishing your project, changing your mindset. Write it down. Step 2. Break it into a repeatable routine. Ask, what 3 actions move me forward? How can I do them consistently without stress? What time of day will I do them no matter how I feel? Make it so small that it's impossible to fail. Example: 1 page per day. 5 new English words every morning. 1 minute cold shower to build discipline. 10 minutes silence, thinking time before sleep. Step 3. Track it. Not emotionally, but mechanically. Don't ask, was today good? Ask, did I follow the system? Put A on your calendar, and don't break the chain. Even if you feel lazy, tired, sad, follow the system anyway. That's when the transformation begins. Bonus: why systems work better than motivation. Motivation says, systems do. I don't feel like it today. Too bad, it's in the plan. I'll wait for the right time. This is the time, always. I'll do it later. It's scheduled, no debate. Motivation is a child. Systems are adults. Genius doesn't depend on the mood of the day. It runs on the structure you build. Geniuses don't live in chaos. They live in carefully designed environments where success is the default result. Like the bees in their hive, you don't need willpower every day. You need a system that supports you when you're weak, guides you when you're lost, pushes you when you hesitate, and protects you from your own excuses. That's how you rise when others fall. That's how you show up, even on the hard days. That's how you become consistent, confident, and eventually, undeniable. Motivation fades. Inspiration dies. But your system will stay. So build it now, and make your genius automatic. So now you know the truth. Genius is not magic. It's not luck. And it's not something only a few people are born with. Genius is a choice. A choice to change your habits. A choice to take control of your time. A choice to stop making excuses. A choice to become the person you were meant to be. The habits you learned in this video? They are not just good ideas. They're your only chance to escape an average life and build a life of greatness, freedom, peace, and power. But here's the honest truth. Nothing will change if you don't. You can scroll to the next video. You can forget what you learned today. You can stay in the same place for the next 5 years. Or you can start today. You can take these habits, apply them, and watch your life transform. Because deep inside you, there is someone powerful, someone smart, someone full of potential. But that person doesn't come alive by watching. That person comes alive when you decide. So decide now. Make this the video that changed everything for you. Don't just live. Live like a genius. Don't just survive. Shine. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel.